October at Nyayo Stadium from 6 a.m. Registration closes on 21st October 2013. Run for a reason.
Welcome back to Cheche, the program where opinion counts on Citizen TV. Now, is alcohol and drug abuse in Kenya a national disaster? That's a question for our guest today, John Mututho, chairman of the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse. And I'll allow you to answer that question in a minute because we have to tie up this issue about your appointment and the questions about it, which we were discussing before the break. Now, part of the problem seems to be that you've rubbed your board the wrong way. You are reported in the media as suggesting that you want to reward yourself with perks. You asked for bodyguards, cars, and so you seem to have raised hackles when you came into this post.
Wait a minute. When I got there is a car already. There are two cars indeed. It's good to appreciate your achievement and your pride sometimes. John Mututho, facing the screen now, has KAQ Mercedes E220.
Your own private car?
My own private car. I was among the first people who bought Mercedes SLS S420. It's KAD. Still as good. End of last year, I bought state-of-the-art S600. Yes. What is this C200 I would be rushing for in NACADA? My friend, even my daughter would have difficulties. Let me be fair to myself. My VX is KM. Prado is way below VX. What this makes me that will now excite me backwards to go and start looking for Prado.
Are you saying
Are you saying those
what I'm saying is
were not real?
They are not real. What the war in NACADA is about abuse of funds.
Right.
And that one you'll come to it, and you will come to it. There will be audit committees, there will be auditors, the government agencies will come there, and you'll hear. Mututho was not there.
Okay, let's
It's abuse of funds, and it's plain simple. We abuse funds as Kenyans are dying, as our daughters, our wives, our children, everybody is suffering. And we
Are
can
you saying, Mheshimiwa, that your entrance to NACADA is scaring some people because they are misused funds?
It's frightening them to death.
Okay, so to be clear, the minutes you say appeared in sections of the press are false. You did not ask for cars, you did not ask for bodyguards, you did not ask for, what was it, a fireproof cabinet and various bits and pieces as reported in the media.
Fireproof cabinet I asked because I don't want them to burn the office when I leave, and which shows who is trafficking what drugs and who is moving what article. It's just a tool to work. The cars, when I drive and I was in Embu, honestly, I cannot walk all the route to Embu. And you have seen me in Embu. I was in Kitui. I was in the other time I was saying I need suitable transport, at least a four-wheel, which can be able to penetrate where the Kenyans are suffering. That's what I asked for. But for Mercedes, wait a minute, the Mercedes was there. It was bought about 4 or 5 years ago. Nobody would even be interested to buy to go for those things. But that notwithstanding,
Are you
the minutes you are talking about were notes which were taken when we were touring the first tour, and which were rejected by myself because it was not a board meeting. There were notes, and the notes included other things which are not captured. Among them is how do you deal with the people who are addicts? How does the emergency number 1192 work? Other things is the library. Are we holding enough information in our library for the general public to walk in and be able to get all this info? How are we relating to the people? How do we account for the funds? How do we say, what did we do with 1 billion shillings that we received?
This is very interesting for Kenyans
Yes.
because you're saying Mututho has joined NACADA. NACADA has been having problems as far as the use of money is concerned. Are you going to start with the fight against alcohol and drugs, or are you going to start by cleaning NACADA itself?
Correct. That's what I want. I'm starting by cleaning. I had given myself 14 days. We do housekeeping, what I call housekeeping. But housekeeping, you step into people's toes. So they will go to the media, pick it, force minutes, and I would tell you, and I walk you there to the minute book. I would walk the whole station and check and confirm that what you saw in the media was not actually minutes. It is. They were not. Those were not which were taken when we were touring.
Okay. The question then, whatever we call them, were the notes accurate?
No. They were meant to paint monstrous Mututho, who is coming for luxury. Maybe wants a carpet. Maybe wants.
Wait, just a minute. You say the notes are not accurate, but you've just told us, yes, that you do need a car that will take you to, far-flung areas. So on that score, the notes are accurate. That you did ask for a four-wheel car, a suitable transportation. Did you ask for the current allowance paid to members to be revised upwards? Did you suggest a figure of 50,000 shillings per sitting?
Yes.
You did? Okay.
And let me explain why I did.
Yes.
You are dealing with the drugs. You are not dealing with the bread and biscuits. You are dealing with the drugs.
Okay.
And the members who are seen trying to track drugs, risking their life, their family members, is like telling people to go to Westgate without bulletproof jackets. Okay. You'll be ridiculous.
What is the current sitting allowance?
14,000.
14,000. You want it revised up to 50,000?
Yes, and the organizations here who are not exposed like these members are, and they'll go for the 50,000.
So you're telling us that they're exposed to danger and difficulty?
Yes.
In what way? Because they're not law enforcement agencies.
They're board members.
Who is in bigger danger? The person who blows the whistle or the person who goes to arrest?
Surely it's the person the whistleblower who comes to you and tells
you. The whistleblower this time becomes the NACADA group itself, because they are the ones who are going to take a member of parliament on. They are the ones who are going to take the drug lords on. They are the ones who are going to talk and say that you are doing it, he's doing it, he's not doing it. Those people are exposed to the letter.
But isn't it, just if I may ask them, isn't it a bit strange, curious, that you get in, you have not even sat into office. Within your first 14 days of orientation, you jack up the allowances.
You jack up the allowances, you ask for iPads.
Yes.
You ask for the driver and cars to move beyond working hours and weekends.
Let us come to the reality. Yesterday you saw me presenting, we are coming to Mira.
Right.
We presented about 30 documents.
30 documents, you say?
Yes.
What documents were these?
Yeah, they were tabled. I will not have them off ahead.
Right. Give us a sense
of what... Those documents we tabled, somebody should be able to go to the iPad and then refer to that particular document. You'll be carrying a library.
Okay.
And you are a director and you're supposed to show directions. There are developments in alcohol and drugs every day. Today, our daughters, our children are faced with biscuits that are flavored with all manner of drugs.
Agreed, Chairman. Agreed.
Let me finish that bit of information. And honestly, if you are having our kids having laptops, honestly,
no.
How would you look at the directors who are misinformed?
Let's come to the issue of
your argument
NACADA,
is that you want to scale
NACADA,
up your
information,
information and operational
and
capacity.
by the way, that iPad, if they took the notes correctly, is not your property. Every time you lose or you do anything, it's updated by the organization.
Let's come to the threats that are faced by members of NACADA.
Just a minute. We want to finish this so that he can clear his name if he needs to. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was trying to explain that the iPad that we are talking about will be updated by the hour, by the day, by the organization. And should you lose your directorship, you would surrender that particular item so that you have the information. You are told that now, don't go to Mombasa. Like the Mera people, for instance. They wanted to kill our CEO one time out at Meru. If there is no communication, then you are going to have a very funny kind of system. You need efficiency, particularly in this digital place.
Yeah, agreed. Let's take that. It's not a big issue. I mean, every organization is for efficiency. We're in the digital age. A laptop, a tablet, iPad is fine to go with. But we're looking at the circumstances in which these things were, in your interventions and the context in which you are making those interventions. You've come in, it's a week or 2 weeks. You have these things up, you want iPads, you have jacked up the allowances to 50 from 14,000. That is 200% increase.
My brother Makori, did you say 2 weeks? I've been on it from 2010. I've been a regular person in NACADA.
No. You're not an office of NACADA. I mean, even me, I can say I've been at it for the longest time in my life because I also advocate
and the issue of 50,000 allowance and their security. So if you give me 50,000, how does that
translate into security?
How often does that person work to get the 50,000?
We don't know the frequency of the board meetings.
Yes.
What is the frequency?
What is the frequency? Because
they work maximum of 2 meetings.
A year or?
A month, maximum.
A month.
Yeah, maximum. And before that is done, there's a lot of work that they have to do on the other side. So it's not like a daily allowance that you come to work every day and then you're being paid daily and the rest of it.
So how does that twice a month sitting and 50,000 translate into safety or compensation for this exposure to the risk of drug traffickers and alcohol abusers? I fail to connect that. But anyway, that is not too important. My question is, within that time, we have made all these changes. You are saying that the people in the office are not agreeing to some of the...
Have we made the changes or we have proposed changes?
Well, let's assume the proposal that will say...
Let's be fair, Makori, and be fair to yourselves. You have an organization that is charged with control of drugs and alcohol abuse in the country, but which has failed flat to do exactly that. What is the problem? What is ailing the organization?
Okay, so what is the problem?
The problem is that, first of all, it's abuse of funds.
Right, there's been abuse of funds.
And what are those funds supposed to be doing? They are supposed to be coming here and running commercials like this radio station. Do you have anything on NACADA today?
Go on.
Obviously, no. Look at the newspapers today. Do you see anything which is advising you on weed cakes and biscuits I was talking about? Do you see it? How do you conduct your campaign from your bedrooms? You can't. You have to be seen. You have to be felt. You have to travel. You have to go there and show that you are doing a campaign. The equivalent of NACADA is called CRMD in Britain and in UK. And that started in 1971. We'll come to that when we're talking about Mira. And you see the activities and how they do it. You run from somewhere. We are just where Honorable Kaguthi left us.
Right. So you've talked about the loss of funds, which have not been accounted for. Have you called for an audit?
Yes.
When will that start? Or is it underway?
The same people who are going to the newspapers and other places don't want the committee to start audit. I start to be corrected. They're hearing me. They're on the TV. I'm telling them the audit must be done. If you have chewed public funds, no shortcut. Whether Mututho is there or doesn't stay there.
Do you know how much is missing?
It's hard to state as of this point. But one thing is clear, there are fake licenses, fake. People went to a Komba and printed licenses. Those licenses carry millions. Yeah. And
what licenses are these?
Like if you run a pub, you pay a license.
How much control do you have over NACADA? Because the way you are talking and how it's going to impact on the officers you are working with, by telling us that all that has been happening in NACADA is chewing of public funds, and then there is the way forward. You are going to work with the same. You haven't quite
outlined all the challenges you face.
You have not asked me for the challenges.
I did ask you for the challenges.
But let me tell you, wewe ni mwalimu wa Kiswahili. If you checked even our brochures and do a grammar check, you'll find they're fake. The grammar check on what we give the public. Yeah. Nobody has ever
in what sense?
Grammar. The ordinary
typographical mistakes, not well edited or written.
It's not edited. Okay. You look through. What else do you want to be told?
So you're talking about loss of funds. You're also talking about substandard work. What are the other challenges facing NACADA?
Lack of visibility.
Lack of visibility.
We are very busy telling you Kenyans are dying of alcohol and giving you figures. But what are we doing about it? Do you want to keep on sulking?
Can we now say that NACADA sounds so big but is a toothless bulldog?
No, it's not toothless. But the people there have slept on the job.
Can I ask you this?
And that's why I don't want to sleep on my job and get sacked second round. Yeah.
Are you the executive chairman, or are you the chairman and there's a chief executive?
He's the chairman of the board.
I'm the chairman of the board. And how does the board relate to the management?
Yes, who is the chief executive? Because you would end up doing the job of the chief executive. Yet you're supposed to be chairman.
In what sense?
The chairman chairs boards, does policy oversight of the organization, operations, and so forth. The chief executive does implementation
well put.
And operations.
Oversight of operations. In what sense? What are the tools? What are you supposed to do it? You oversight by using binoculars, or you go through and say there's audit, or how do you do oversight? Oversight is saying people are crying that there's audit problem here.
Yes.
There's accountability problem, and then you call for audit. That's how you do.
I'm just trying to extract the difference.
But for Mututho to go and sign LPO,
chief executive,
that cannot do. I cannot sign a check. I cannot even call for interest. I cannot call for all those things the management do. I cannot bother worry about whether the power has been paid or not paid. All I can do is ask for a fireproof cabinet to keep the document that describes who is doing what.
So let's come to what you can do now. What can NACADA do that hasn't been done in the past?
I can make it operate as envisaged. Just like CRMD of UK, that one I can. And I'm equal to the task.
How does NACADA work with other government agencies? Because you can't talk about fighting drugs in this country without working with the police, without working with other government offices that are necessary.
NACADA board has, among other people, the officer in charge of narcotics. We have the PS, formerly internal security. Now we have also from Treasury, the PS. We have also Minister of Health, and we are presented very well by Dr. Kefa, who is the Chief Public Health Officer in this Republic of Kenya. So they pick the issues when they are raw and right inside there. So for the police issues, the anti-narcotics boss will pick those things from there. But what are these issues we are going to tell him? You're not going to tell him anything more than what the Kenyans are saying and what I picked from your studio today and from the printout of the people who are sending up messages, that there is such a building where they are doing this and they are doing this and they are doing this and they are doing that. Then that one now, the only point of entry is the board. You have to call the board. You call the board and then you talk and discuss. I would be asking the board if they approve that we comply to Article 118, which calls for openness. And the next board, all of you are there, like we do in Parliament, like we used to do in parliamentary committees, and then you can follow these stories as they unfold. In fact, the issue of minutes, like we are talking about, the next meeting is Monday. I'm welcoming the media on Monday, and they will go through the minute book 10 o'clock.
But to follow up on that,
just to know whether the minutes were there,
let's go for the basics.
Transpired.
Let's go for the basics, because I've heard you, I've listened to you so many times, I've watched you. There is this issue of fighting alcoholism in Kenya, and you are very clear about the time that bars are supposed to open and close. You're also very clear about institutions that are near pubs, and that we have not been able even to sort out that. Before we even go for drugs, yeah? The hard drugs that you find in Mombasa, the basics, according to Mututho law. I constructed a bar before the school. Then the school came and constructed, somebody came and constructed a school next to my bar. Are you going to close my bar because I'm near the school? Or are you going to stop the school from somebody constructing a school near a bar?
Also in the board, we have his PS education. He knows clearly well, you cannot license a school that is going to interrupt other economic activity of the country. Your law is not overriding other constellations that you talk about. This is just one of them. What do you say of the Nyeri case, where there was a bar 50 meters from the school, and people got broke, and they went and broke to the school and killed the watchmen, just their neighbors. And the bar has been open for 24 hours for a very long time. Nobody wanted to follow the law, and the dogs were able to come there and do those kind of things. What we're saying, look at my favorite place, Naivasha. Currently, there's only one bar that operates and is trying to dance around the rules. The only one.
And you know, they kicked you out.
And you know why? Because our licensing regime put in an ambiguity when we did the restaurant license. And the people are there carrying bones that are rotten, and they keep on the table. They're assuming they're eating and having a drink. These are some of the challenges. And I said earlier, the first thing I did in NACADA was to try and have a meeting with the lawyers, the private lawyers and also parliamentary lawyers, and see what are the challenges, the comments that have been put, the cases, that 8 cases or that 9 cases, challenging several aspects of the laws. Then I come up with a better proposal, because the mandate of NACADA is to advise the appointing authority on how to amend laws on how to deal with this particular menace.
So you're accepting then that your Mututho laws, the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, has failed?
No, they have not failed.
Why not?
Oh, they have not failed. You need to try and drink at across the road here. There is a pub outside Mututho hours. You'll be picked.
But what about rural areas? I mean, you rushed to Central Province the other day when schoolgirls were found drunk, having, been able to buy alcoholic drinks from a liquor store.
Well, first of all, the case in question, that's why I had to travel there, is a very odd case. They bought from Wines and Spirits, and when we got the Wines and Spirits...
Schoolgirls in uniform?
One of them had uniform but didn't get in. The three didn't have uniform. And what happened there, because I went up and even had discussion with the school, the girl in uniform was left outside. They bought from Wines and Spirits, and which apparently has seats. And those people there, so they don't follow the law there because, like you are saying correctly, and they have their own way and why they are not following the law. They sold not only bad alcohol, but also ignore the police warnings. So those are the issues you deal with, but doesn't say that universally we are not following the law, the compliance. Even the 10 Commandments, they have been here from time of Moses, very few people. And your callers can tell me the ones who are following 100% the 10 Commandments, there are only 10 rules. How many are following up to?
But then
100%?
How do you gauge the success of the law if you say that it hasn't failed?
We are still over 60% mark. What we are supposed to do, campaign against, we are not doing very well. Campaigning is like you are telling me here, you should have gone for parliamentary approval. You should have gone, that's a campaign. You talk, but if you are campaigning from your own house, then we are not doing much in terms of things. But there are good things NACADA has done. At least everybody knows there are drugs.
But there have been complaints much more, if I can give you feedback, that Mututho is just trying to reinvent himself after losing his parliamentary seat by saying, you guys did not elect me because I fought beer and drinking. You want to remain relevant until 2017 probably. How do you think that is, because I've heard you mention about it, how do you think that is going to help you, not unless you say you don't want to be in politics, because the more they let you in.
Are they implying I'm campaigning for 2017? God forgive them. What was I campaigning for in 2009 or 2010 or 2011, 2010? I had a job already. What was I campaigning for? Everybody knew I would either be killed, shot, maimed, or voted out of parliament. But I opted for the bigger evil. I lose my parliamentary seat and save one extra soul because of this drinking.
Actually, several people agree with you. Please understand that what has happened to Mr. Mututho is a prayer answered. Give him a chance to realize his dream. I think most of the questions about his appointment can be answered by appointing authorities. That came from Wishiria in Meru. Okay. And someone else agrees. Cheche, Mr. Mututho is right by asking for things to put things right. He's asking for spanners to repair this broken car. So quite a lot of interest in this and quite a lot of support for you. Would you say that the situation of alcohol and drug abuse in Kenya is a national disaster?
It is not a national disaster yet because they are fixing the problem. Because even after declaring AIDS a natural disaster, there are some people, very good, hard-working men and women, who worked at National AIDS Control Council and who fixed the problem. When Michoki came, and there was accident and there was a problem, they fixed the problem.
That's rather odd because the last NACADA called meeting, a national conference early last year, one of the recommendations it made was for alcohol and drug abuse to be declared a national disaster in Kenya, which presumably would have opened up more funding and various other resources towards this campaign. But
the president threw a challenge to us. He said, gentlemen, can you account for what you have gotten first before asking for more? Now, accounting for that, and I will go public on Monday, and I want media to come, accounting for that involves audit. And preliminary audit results show they are fake even licenses. And there are some people who are involved. How do you go telling the public now to cough more money if you cannot account for the little that you have gotten? This is a fact. And Mututho will not stop at the bickering in-house at NACADA. In fact, I'm better off operating from my office in the house. But I must ensure that Kenyans are protected. Let's look at an animal called hyena. Many people don't like that animal. in a pack of hyenas, a very big pack of hyenas, you have the prime male and the prime female, or they are called alpha male and alpha female. They do the breeding. All the others are part of the family members. But upon, when the kids are, or when the puppies are born, they are protected by the entire society. No hyena goes to attack the puppies. What kind of society do we have here, where we are behaving worse than hyenas, where I'm coming and putting up a factory in the middle of nowhere, going clearly, calling it wine, and knowing it is not wine, get water, which is even drawn from a sewer line. Going there, you pick...
so you're talking about attitudes, responsibility, recklessness, a failure of moral values.
And being humane.
Right. How do you legislate against that?
By what we did, the Mututho laws, that before you register a factory for winery is not just made from the license. You have to show you are getting fruits of certain quality. The water must be of certain quality. The ingredients must be correct. The filters must be right. You must follow a certain standard. But you don't become a winery by just going to steal on the highways of Naivasha drums of industrial alcohol. Then you come on, dilute, flavor, color.
That one, Mheshimiwa, takes me to the same question I had asked you about how you work with other agencies and government offices. For example, in the standards, maintaining the standards. If Kenyans are actually taking methanol or whatever they take in the small bars that are out there, who is there to protect them? Because it will not be only the work of NACADA. Of course, the Kenya Bureau of Standards must also come in.
They must come in, but if KEBS don't come in, I come in here as a campaigner and tell KEBS, listen to me, and you are watching now, this hour, listen to me. You have a standard where you are allowing lady to drink thing called fortified wine. Is that 8% alcohol? It's a standard. It's legal. It is standard.
Okay.
But you're also saying, that nobody should manufacture and sell ready-to-drink wine at over 8% alcohol. So you see there's a clear 30% alcohol already in the statute. It's up to us to point those kind of anomalies.
But it also seems that your focus seems to be more urban-centric. In the sense that you talk about compliance in the urban areas, yet we know that in the rural areas, there's a huge problem of alcohol and drug abuse.
Forget whether I'm legally appointed or illegally appointed, but I'm still remaining Mututho. I've been to Matu, the few times I've been to Kitui already. I've been to Murang'a. I've been to some places around Kilifi within those particular days. Honestly, within 14 days, I'm focusing on the rural areas. I'm going to a place called Mechada in Moro, where they have a big brewery in drums and all illicit. And I'll go to Taveta. It doesn't matter. I'll use my vehicles. I go there and say what I have to say and tell you, he in Sumu. And I'll do that loud and clear. If you want to hear, hear. If you don't want to hear, don't hear. But I will have said as a campaigner, I will tell you, bad alcohol is bad for your health. It will destroy your liver. I will tell you, what they're manufacturing here called fortified wine is all chemicals. There is no wine there. I will tell you that these guys are trafficking drugs. And what you are seeing here is not unga. It is not baking powder. It is real stuff. I will tell you that so-and-so is not good. I will tell you NACADA is not doing its job. I will tell you.
All right, we have to pause there, but lots of support actually coming in from our viewers for the work you're doing. And we'll hear more from Mr. Mututho when we come back. You're watching Cheche, the program where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV with the chairman of NACADA, John Mututho. When we return, Mira, is it a drug or not?